No entry. This sign indicates that vehicles are prohibited from entering the roadway, lane, or area from the direction facing the sign. It is commonly used at one-way street exits, restricted access roads, parking lot exits, and certain highway ramps. Drivers who encounter this sign must not proceed beyond it. Instead, they should stop if necessary and find an alternative route. Entering beyond this sign can place a driver directly into opposing traffic, creating an extremely dangerous situation that could result in severe collisions, injuries, or fatalities. Stop. This regulatory sign requires every driver to bring the vehicle to a complete stop before reaching the stop line, crosswalk, or intersection. A complete stop means all wheels of the vehicle must stop moving. After stopping, drivers must carefully check for vehicles, pedestrians, cyclists, and any other road users who have the right of way. Drivers should proceed only when it is safe to do so. The sign helps prevent intersection crashes by ensuring drivers assess traffic conditions before entering. Rolling through a stop sign is illegal and significantly increases crash risk. Yield. This sign requires drivers to slow down and give the right of way to traffic, pedestrians, or cyclists already using or approaching the roadway. Drivers may continue without stopping only if the way is completely clear. If there is any possibility of conflict with another road user, the driver must stop and wait. Yield signs are often used at merge points, roundabouts, and less busy intersections. Drivers should remain alert and be prepared to stop immediately if conditions change. Wrong way. This warning sign indicates that the driver is traveling against the legal direction of traffic flow. It is commonly placed at freeway exits, one-way streets, and divided highway entrances. Upon seeing this sign, drivers should immediately recognize that they are heading in the wrong direction. They should safely slow down, pull off the roadway if possible, and carefully turn around or seek assistance. Continuing beyond this sign creates a high risk of head-on collisions. Speed limit. This regulatory sign displays the maximum legal speed permitted under normal driving conditions. Drivers must adjust their speed to remain at or below the posted limit. The speed limit is established based on road design, traffic volume, visibility, and surrounding land use. In poor weather, heavy traffic, construction zones, or other hazardous conditions, drivers may need to travel below the posted limit. Obeying speed limits improves reaction time and reduces crash severity. One way. This sign informs drivers that traffic on the roadway travels in only one direction. The arrow on the sign indicates the permitted direction of travel. Drivers must follow the designated direction and should not attempt to drive against traffic. Before entering a one-way street, drivers should verify the direction and check for pedestrians, cyclists, and vehicles entering from side roads. Driving the wrong way on a one-way street can result in serious collisions and traffic violations. No left turn? This sign prohibits left turns at the location where it is posted. The restriction may exist due to limited visibility, heavy traffic, pedestrian activity, or roadway design. Drivers must continue straight ahead or use another route where a left turn is allowed. Planning ahead and observing lane markings can help drivers avoid sudden lane changes when approaching this sign. No right turn. This sign indicates that right turns are not permitted at the intersection or roadway entrance. Drivers must continue straight or choose another legal route to make the desired turn. These restrictions often improve safety for pedestrians or reduce traffic conflicts. Drivers should pay attention to any supplemental signs indicating times when the restriction applies. No U-turn. This sign informs drivers that turning around to travel in the opposite direction is prohibited. U-turns may be restricted because of limited visibility, narrow roadways, heavy traffic, or safety concerns. Drivers wishing to reverse direction must continue to a location where U-turns are legally permitted. Ignoring this sign can lead to dangerous traffic conflicts and enforcement penalties. U-turn. This sign indicates that U-turns are allowed at the location shown. Drivers must still ensure that the maneuver can be completed safely. Before turning, they should check for oncoming traffic, pedestrians, cyclists, and any traffic control devices. Drivers must yield to other road users who have the right-of-way and complete the turn only when sufficient space is available. Right turn only. This sign directs drivers to make a right turn. It is commonly used in designated turn lanes or at intersections where other movements are restricted. Drivers must position their vehicle in the appropriate lane and complete a right turn as indicated. Attempting to go straight or turn left from a right turn only lane is unsafe and often illegal. Left turn only. This sign requires drivers to make a left turn from the lane or location where it is posted. Drivers should move into the designated lane well before reaching the intersection and signal appropriately. Continuing straight or turning right is not permitted. Following this sign helps maintain orderly traffic flow and reduces conflicts between vehicles. Straight through only. This sign indicates that drivers must continue straight ahead. Turning left or right is prohibited. The sign is often used where turning movements could interfere with traffic flow or create safety hazards. Drivers should select the correct lane before reaching the intersection and continue directly through when permitted. School crossing. This warning sign alerts drivers that children may be crossing the roadway near a school. Drivers should immediately reduce speed, increase vigilance, and prepare to stop if children enter the roadway. Children may act unpredictably, so extra caution is required. Drivers should obey crossing guards and all related traffic controls in the area. School speed limit ahead. This sign warns drivers that a reduced speed zone associated with a school is approaching. Drivers should begin slowing down and be prepared to comply with the lower speed limit when it becomes effective. Reduced speeds improve driver reaction time and help protect children who may be walking, cycling, or crossing nearby. School bus stop ahead. This sign warns that school buses may stop ahead to load or unload students. Drivers should reduce speed and be prepared for frequent stops. Children may enter or cross the roadway unexpectedly near a stopped school bus. Drivers must understand and obey state laws regarding stopping for school buses, displaying flashing lights and stop arms. Pedestrians crossing. This warning sign indicates a location where pedestrians frequently cross the roadway. Drivers should reduce speed, watch carefully for people entering the road, and be prepared to stop. Pedestrian crossings may be marked or unmarked. Drivers must yield to pedestrians who are crossing legally. No pedestrians crossing. This regulatory sign prohibits pedestrians from crossing the roadway at the specified location. While primarily directed at pedestrians, drivers should still remain alert because individuals may disregard the restriction. Drivers should continue cautiously and watch for unexpected pedestrian movements. Railroad crossing ahead. This warning sign indicates that a railroad crossing is approaching. Drivers should slow down, look and listen for approaching trains, and be prepared to stop if required. Trains cannot stop quickly, and they always have the right of way. Drivers should never attempt to race a train across the tracks. Railroad crossing crossbuck. The crossbuck is the official railroad crossing sign located at the tracks themselves. It marks the point where the road crosses railroad tracks. Drivers should approach cautiously, look in both directions, and obey any flashing lights, gates, or signals. Crossing should occur only when it is completely safe. Keep right of obstacle. This sign directs drivers to pass to the right side of a traffic island, median, construction barrier, or other roadway obstruction. Drivers should follow the indicated direction and avoid crossing into opposing traffic or restricted areas. Keep left of obstacle. This sign directs drivers to pass to the left side of an obstacle. It is commonly used near medians, construction zones, and roadway channelization devices. Drivers should move smoothly and safely to the left while remaining alert to surrounding traffic. Low ground clearance railroad crossing. This warning sign alerts drivers that the railroad crossing has a raised surface that may cause long, low clearance vehicles to become stuck. Truck drivers, bus operators, and drivers of trailers should evaluate whether their vehicle can safely cross before proceeding. If uncertain, an alternative route should be used. Traffic light ahead. This sign warns that a signalized intersection is approaching. It is often placed where visibility is limited or where drivers may not expect a traffic signal. Drivers should begin scanning ahead, adjust speed if necessary, and be prepared to stop if the signal changes. Traffic signal photo enforced. This sign informs drivers that cameras are being used to enforce traffic signal violations, such as running red lights. Drivers should pay close attention to signal indications and stop completely when required. Violations may result in citations being issued based on photographic or video evidence. Roundabout. This sign warns drivers that they are approaching a roundabout, a circular intersection where traffic moves counterclockwise around a central island in the United States. Drivers must slow down before entering, yield to traffic already circulating within the roundabout, and enter only when there is a safe gap. Drivers should select the correct lane before entering and use turn signals when exiting. Roundabouts reduce severe intersection crashes by lowering vehicle speeds and eliminating many crossing conflicts. Crossroad. This warning sign indicates that a four-way intersection is ahead. Drivers should be alert for vehicles approaching from the left and right, observe any traffic control devices, and prepare to yield or stop if required. Speed should be adjusted as necessary to safely navigate the intersection. Extra caution is needed in areas with limited visibility or heavy traffic. T-intersection. This sign warns that the road ahead ends at an intersection, forming the shape of the letter T. Drivers cannot continue straight and must turn either left or right. As the intersection approaches, drivers should reduce speed, check traffic conditions, signal appropriately, and yield if necessary before turning. Y intersection. This sign indicates that the roadway divides into two separate branches ahead, forming a Y shape. Drivers should determine which direction they intend to travel and position themselves accordingly. Reducing speed and observing traffic in both branches helps ensure a safe maneuver. Side road right. This warning sign indicates that a side road enters the main roadway from the right. Drivers on the main road should remain alert for vehicles entering or crossing traffic. Drivers approaching the intersection should scan the side road for potential hazards and be prepared to adjust speed if necessary. Side road left. This sign indicates that a side road joins the main roadway from the left. Drivers should watch for vehicles entering from that direction and be prepared for possible turning movements. Maintaining awareness helps reduce collision risks at the intersection. Side road at an acute angle. This sign warns that a side road joins the main roadway at a sharp angle. Drivers should be alert for unusual vehicle movements and limited visibility at the intersection. Slowing slightly and scanning carefully can help drivers anticipate merging or crossing traffic. Side road at an obtuse angle. This sign indicates that a side road joins the main roadway at a wide angle. Drivers should be aware that vehicles entering from the side road may have different sight lines and turning paths. Extra attention should be given to potential conflicts at the intersection. Offset side roads. This sign warns that side roads enter the main roadway from opposite sides, but are not directly aligned with each other. Drivers should expect vehicles crossing or turning through the area and should approach with caution. Proper observation is necessary to avoid conflicts created by unusual intersection layouts. Double side roads from right. This sign indicates that two side roads enter the main roadway from the right, in close succession. Drivers should remain alert for vehicles entering or exiting from either side road and be prepared for changing traffic conditions. Two-way traffic. This sign warns that traffic will be traveling in both directions on the roadway ahead. It is often placed where a one-way roadway transitions to two-way operation. Drivers should stay to the right side of the center line and watch carefully for oncoming vehicles. Narrow two-way traffic. This sign indicates that a two-way roadway ahead is narrower than usual. Drivers should reduce speed, remain within their lane, and exercise caution when meeting oncoming traffic. Extra care is required for larger vehicles due to limited lateral clearance. Divided highway begins. This sign informs drivers that the roadway ahead will become divided by a median, barrier, or other separation between opposing traffic flows. Drivers should remain on the correct side of the divider and pay attention to lane markings and directional signs. Divided highway ends. This sign warns that the divided roadway is ending and that opposing traffic will soon share the same roadway. Drivers should remain alert for oncoming vehicles, avoid crossing the center line, and adjust driving behavior for the upcoming two-way traffic conditions. Right lane ends, merge left. This sign warns that the right lane will end ahead and that drivers in that lane must merge into the left lane. Drivers should check mirrors and blind spots, signal early, and merge smoothly when a safe gap becomes available. Drivers already in the continuing lane should allow merging traffic when practical. Left lane ends, merge right. This sign indicates that the left lane ends ahead and traffic must merge into the right lane. Drivers should plan the merge early, avoid sudden lane changes, and maintain a safe following distance. Cooperation among drivers helps maintain smooth traffic flow. Added right lane. This sign indicates that an additional lane will be added on the right side of the roadway. Drivers may continue in their current lane without merging. The added lane increases roadway capacity and may provide space for entering traffic. Added left lane. This sign indicates that a new lane is being added on the left side of the roadway. Drivers should remain aware of traffic entering the new lane and continue following lane markings and traffic regulations. Single lane transition. This sign warns that multiple lanes will transition into a single lane ahead. Drivers should prepare to merge, maintain a safe following distance, and avoid aggressive driving behaviors. Early lane changes often improve traffic flow and reduce sudden braking. Road narrows on both sides. This sign warns that the roadway width decreases ahead from both sides. Drivers should reduce speed, stay centered within their lane, and exercise caution when passing other vehicles. Larger vehicles may require additional attention due to reduced clearance. Narrow bridge. This sign indicates that a bridge ahead is narrower than the approaching roadway. Drivers should reduce speed, remain within their lane, and be cautious when crossing simultaneously with oncoming traffic. Extra attention is required in poor weather or low visibility conditions. Narrow underpass. This sign warns that an underpass ahead has reduced width. Drivers should check lane position carefully and proceed cautiously, particularly when driving large vehicles such as trucks, buses, or vehicles towing trailers. Low clearance. This sign indicates that the structure ahead, such as a bridge, tunnel, or overpass, has limited vertical clearance. Drivers of tall vehicles must compare their vehicle height with the posted clearance before proceeding. If the vehicle exceeds the clearance height, an alternate route must be used to prevent collisions with the structure. Sharp right turn. This warning sign indicates that the roadway makes a sharp turn to the right ahead. Drivers should reduce speed before entering the turn, remain in their lane, and avoid sudden braking during the maneuver. Entering too fast can result in loss of control or lane departure. Sharp left turn. This sign warns that a sharp left turn is ahead. Drivers should slow down before reaching the curve, maintain a firm grip on the steering wheel, and stay within their lane throughout the turn. Appropriate speed selection is essential for maintaining vehicle stability and safety. Curve right. This warning sign indicates that the roadway curves gradually to the right ahead. Drivers should reduce speed if necessary, especially in poor weather or low visibility conditions, and follow the curve while remaining within their lane. Drivers should look ahead through the curve rather than directly in front of the vehicle to maintain proper lane position. Entering a curve too quickly can increase the risk of skidding or crossing into another lane. Curve left. This sign warns drivers that the road curves to the left ahead. Drivers should adjust speed before entering the curve, stay centered within their lane, and remain alert for oncoming traffic. Maintaining a safe speed improves vehicle control and allows adequate reaction time if hazards appear around the curve. Reverse turn right. This sign indicates that the roadway makes a sharp turn in one direction, followed almost immediately by a sharp turn in the opposite direction, with the first turn being to the right. Drivers should reduce speed significantly, maintain control of the vehicle, and be prepared to steer through both turns. Sudden acceleration or braking during the maneuver should be avoided. Reverse turn left. This sign warns that the road makes a sharp turn to the left, followed by a sharp turn to the right. Drivers should slow down before reaching the first turn and remain attentive throughout the entire sequence. Safe speed and smooth steering are important for maintaining vehicle stability. Reverse curve right. This sign indicates that the roadway curves to the right and then immediately curves to the left. Drivers should reduce speed before entering the first curve and remain alert through both curves. Because direction changes occur quickly, drivers should avoid distractions and maintain steady vehicle control. Reverse curve left. This sign warns of a left curve followed immediately by a right curve. Drivers should enter the first curve at a safe speed and prepare for the second directional change. Careful steering and lane discipline are essential to avoid drifting across lane boundaries. Hairpin curve. This sign warns of an extremely sharp curve ahead, often found on mountainous or steep terrain. Drivers should significantly reduce speed, before entering the curve and may need to use a lower gear when driving downhill. Large vehicles require extra space and caution due to their wider turning radius. Failure to slow appropriately can result in loss of control. Winding road. This sign indicates a series of curves ahead. Drivers should expect multiple changes in roadway direction and adjust their speed accordingly. Constant attention is necessary because visibility may be limited around successive curves. Drivers should remain within their lane and avoid passing other vehicles unless clearly permitted. Chevron. Chevron alignment signs are placed along sharp curves to emphasize the direction and severity of the turn. They guide drivers through the curve and indicate where the roadway continues. Drivers should follow the direction indicated by the chevrons and maintain a safe speed throughout the turn. Multiple chevrons often indicate a particularly sharp curve. Loop curve. This sign warns of a loop-shaped ramp or roadway curve, commonly found on highway interchanges. Drivers should slow to an appropriate speed before entering the loop and follow any advisory speed signs. Because loop curves are often tighter than regular highway curves, excessive speed can cause loss of traction or rollover risk for larger vehicles. Ramp speed advisory. This sign provides a recommended maximum speed for a highway entrance, exit, or interchange ramp. Although advisory speeds are generally not regulatory speed limits, drivers should strongly consider following them because they are based on roadway design and curve sharpness. Higher speeds may reduce vehicle stability and increase crash risk. Exit speed. This sign indicates the recommended speed for safely navigating an upcoming highway exit ramp. Drivers should begin reducing speed before entering the ramp and adjust their speed according to traffic, weather, and roadway conditions. Ignoring the advisory speed can increase the likelihood of skidding or rollover crashes. Slippery when wet ahead. This warning sign indicates that the roadway may become unusually slippery when wet due to pavement characteristics, oil accumulation, or other factors. Drivers should reduce speed during rain or wet conditions, increase following distance, avoid sudden steering movements, and brake gently. Loss of traction is more likely in these areas. Steep grade hill. This sign warns of a steep uphill or downhill grade ahead. Drivers should prepare by selecting an appropriate gear and adjusting speed before entering the grade. On downhill sections, lower gears may help control speed and reduce brake overheating. Extra caution is required for trucks and other heavy vehicles. Dip. This sign indicates a low area in the roadway where the road surface drops and then rises. Drivers should reduce speed because dips can affect vehicle suspension, visibility, and control. During heavy rain, water may collect in the dip, creating additional hazards. Falling rocks. This warning sign indicates an area where rocks may fall onto the roadway from nearby slopes or cliffs. Drivers should remain alert for debris on the road, avoid stopping unnecessarily in the area, and proceed cautiously. If rocks are observed on the roadway, drivers should slow down and maneuver carefully around the hazard when safe. Crosswinds. This sign warns that strong side winds are common in the area. Drivers should maintain a firm grip on the steering wheel and be prepared for sudden gusts that may push the vehicle sideways. High-profile vehicles such as trucks, buses, RVs, and vehicles towing trailers are particularly vulnerable to crosswinds. Right shoulder drop-off ahead. This sign indicates that the roadway shoulder is significantly lower than the travel lane. Drivers should avoid driving onto the shoulder unnecessarily If a vehicle leaves the pavement, drivers should slow gradually and carefully steer back onto the roadway rather than making an abrupt correction that could cause loss of control. Truck rollover warning. This sign warns that a curve, ramp, or roadway segment ahead presents an increased rollover risk for large trucks and other high center of gravity vehicles. Truck drivers should significantly reduce speed, follow advisory speed recommendations, and avoid sudden steering movements. Passenger vehicle drivers should also exercise caution. Flagger ahead. This sign warns that a person directing traffic is present ahead, usually in a construction, maintenance, or emergency work zone. Drivers should reduce speed, remain alert, and be prepared to stop or follow hand signals given by the flagger. Obeying the flagger's instructions is mandatory. Workers. This sign indicates that road workers may be present on or near the roadway ahead. Drivers should slow down, increase awareness, watch for equipment and workers, and be prepared for changing traffic patterns. Many states impose increased penalties for violations committed in active work zones. Bicycle crossing. This warning sign indicates a location where cyclists may cross the roadway. Drivers should watch carefully for bicycles approaching or entering the crossing area and be prepared to yield when required. Cyclists may be traveling faster than pedestrians and can enter the roadway unexpectedly. Bike lane. This sign identifies a designated lane reserved primarily for bicycle travel. Drivers should not drive, stop, or park in the bike lane unless specifically permitted by law. When turning across a bike lane, drivers should check carefully for cyclists and yield when required. Bicycle lane ends. This sign indicates that the designated bicycle lane is ending ahead. Drivers should be aware that cyclists may merge into the regular travel lane. Extra caution and increased following distance may be necessary when sharing the roadway. Bicycles merging. This sign warns that cyclists may be entering or merging into the roadway ahead. Drivers should expect bicycles to share the travel lane and should provide adequate space when passing. Patience and awareness are important for preventing collisions. No bicycles. This regulatory sign indicates that bicycles are prohibited from using the roadway, lane, path, bridge, tunnel, or area beyond the sign. The restriction may exist because of high-speed traffic, limited roadway width, safety concerns, or alternative bicycle facilities nearby. Drivers should not expect cyclists in the restricted area, but they should still remain alert for unauthorized users. Cyclists must use an alternate legal route. Bicycle and pedestrians. This sign indicates an area where both cyclists and pedestrians share the same path, crossing, or travel area. Drivers should expect increased activity from both groups and should reduce speed when appropriate. Extra caution is required because pedestrians and cyclists may move at different speeds and may change direction unexpectedly. Drivers must be prepared to yield whenever required by law. Deer crossing. This warning sign indicates an area where deer frequently cross the roadway. Drivers should remain alert, especially during dawn, dusk, and nighttime hours when deer are most active. If a deer is spotted near the road, drivers should slow down immediately, use high beams when appropriate, and be prepared for additional deer to follow. Sudden swerving should be avoided because it may result in more severe crashes. Bear crossing. This sign warns that bears may cross the roadway in the area. Drivers should reduce speed, remain alert for wildlife near the roadside, and be prepared to stop if necessary. Bears are large animals that can cause significant vehicle damage and serious injuries in a collision. Drivers should never stop in traffic to approach or feed wildlife. Wild horse crossing. This warning sign indicates an area where wild horses may enter or cross the roadway. Drivers should exercise caution, especially in rural areas where visibility may be limited. Horses may move unpredictably and often travel in groups. Drivers should reduce speed and allow animals sufficient time to clear the roadway safely. Cattle crossing. This sign warns that cattle may cross or travel along the roadway ahead. It is commonly found in agricultural or ranching areas. Drivers should reduce speed, watch for animals on or near the road, and be prepared to stop. Livestock can be unpredictable, and collisions with large animals can result in severe damage and injuries. Farm vehicles. This sign indicates that slow-moving farm equipment may frequently enter, cross, or travel on the roadway. Drivers should be prepared to encounter tractors, combines, and other agricultural machinery that may travel at much lower speeds than normal traffic. Passing should be done only when it is safe and legal. Emergency vehicle. This sign warns that emergency vehicles may frequently enter or exit the roadway nearby, such as near a fire station, ambulance station, or emergency response facility. Drivers should remain alert and be prepared to yield immediately if emergency vehicles are responding with lights and sirens activated. Weight limit. This regulatory sign specifies the maximum allowable vehicle weight permitted on a bridge, roadway, or structure. The limit is established to prevent structural damage and ensure safety. Drivers of trucks, buses, and other heavy vehicles must know their vehicle's weight and must not proceed if it exceeds the posted limit. Alternative routes should be used when necessary. No trucks. This sign prohibits trucks from using the roadway or area beyond the sign. Restrictions may be based on safety concerns, roadway geometry, residential zoning, bridge limitations, or traffic management requirements. Truck drivers must follow designated truck routes and seek alternate legal access. Truck route sign. This sign identifies a roadway designated for truck travel. Truck drivers should follow these routes whenever possible, particularly when local ordinances require trucks to remain on approved roadways. These routes are generally designed to accommodate larger vehicles safely and efficiently. No right turn for trucks. This sign prohibits trucks from making a right turn at the specified location. The restriction may exist because of limited turning space, pedestrian activity, roadway design, or safety concerns. Truck drivers must continue straight or use another legal route to complete their turn. Hazardous material route. This sign designates an approved route for vehicles transporting hazardous materials. Drivers carrying regulated hazardous cargo should follow the designated route unless otherwise directed by authorities. These routes are selected to minimize risks to populated areas and critical infrastructure. Hazardous material prohibited. This sign prohibits vehicles carrying certain hazardous materials from entering the roadway, tunnel, bridge, or area beyond the sign. Drivers transporting hazardous cargo must comply with the restriction and follow designated alternate routes. Violations may result in substantial penalties and increased public safety risks. Tow-away zone. This sign indicates that vehicles parked, stopped, or standing in the designated area may be removed at the owner's expense. Drivers should carefully read any supplemental information regarding times, restrictions, and conditions. Parking in a tow-away zone may result in towing fees, storage charges, fines, and inconvenience. Parking area. This informational sign directs drivers to an authorized parking facility or parking area. Drivers should follow directional information provided and comply with any posted parking regulations, fees, time limits, or restrictions within the parking area. Hospital. This sign indicates the location or direction of a hospital. Drivers should be aware that ambulances and emergency vehicles may frequently operate nearby. Excessive noise, aggressive driving, or blocking hospital entrances should be avoided. The sign may also assist drivers seeking emergency medical services. Gasoline. This service sign informs drivers that fuel is available nearby. It is commonly found along highways and major routes to assist motorists in locating fuel stations. Drivers should monitor fuel levels and plan refueling stops appropriately, particularly in remote areas where services may be limited. Electric vehicle charging. This sign indicates the availability of electric vehicle charging facilities nearby. Drivers of electric vehicles may follow the sign to locate charging stations. Depending on the facility, charging may require payment, membership, or specific charging connectors. Tourist information. This informational sign indicates the location of a visitor information center or tourist assistance facility. Such facilities often provide maps, travel guidance, local attractions information, accommodation listings, and emergency travel assistance. Drivers may stop safely if they require travel-related information. Airport. This sign directs drivers to a nearby airport. Drivers should follow the indicated route if traveling to airport terminals, parking facilities, cargo areas, or related services. Increased traffic congestion and airport-related directional signs may be encountered as drivers approach the airport. Interstate route marker. This route marker identifies an interstate highway within the United States interstate highway system. Interstate highways are major controlled access roadways designed for long-distance travel. Drivers should follow route numbers and directional indicators carefully when navigating the interstate network. U.S. route marker. This sign identifies a roadway that is part of the United States numbered highway system. U.S. routes connect cities, towns, and regions across the country and may pass through both urban and rural areas. Drivers should use route numbers and directional information to navigate efficiently. State route marker. This route marker identifies a highway maintained by a specific state. State routes vary in size and function, ranging from major highways to local connectors. Drivers should follow posted route numbers and related directional signs when traveling within the state highway system. County route marker. This sign identifies a roadway maintained by a county government. County routes often provide access to local communities, agricultural areas, parks, and rural destinations. Drivers should use route markers together with maps, GPS systems, and directional signs to navigate local road networks effectively. You've just reviewed 100 important U.S. road signs that can help you become a safer, more knowledgeable driver. Understanding these signs is an essential step toward passing your driving test and making smart decisions behind the wheel. Keep practicing until you can identify each sign and its meaning without hesitation. If you found this guide helpful, please like the video, subscribe for more DMV preparation content, and turn on notifications to stay updated with future road sign lessons, driving tips, and practice tests. Thanks for watching, and we wish you success on your driving test and safe travels on every journey.